Hey, aunties. It's Herson from Providence, and I'm waiting for that tea.
Watchmen. Oh my God.
Ask your aunties. Whitewashing at work.
And 2010s, our culture. So get your cups ready for MinoriTea Report. Merry Christmas, ladies.
Hey,
Ho, ho, ho.
Merry Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho. Who you calling the hoe?
To anybody who would listen.
Right.
What movie is that from? I forgot.
I don't know. I was thinking of, who you calling a bitch? UNITY. That's what I was thinking.
I forget there was
What
one
were you
she was like,
thinking
who you
of?
calling a hoe? Hoe? I was like, ooh.
Oh, man. Community, let us know. I don't know.
I forgot what movie is that in. Anyway.
How
y'all doing? How you doing?
How you doing?
Okay, Miss Wendy, y'all.
At this point, I'll be back in Michigan listening to the podcast on this fine Monday, back for the
Yes.
holidays, which is good. This year flew by. I can't believe it's already Christmas.
I know, right?
I'm okay with that.
I'm not mad at it.
It's
Not mad at it at
crazy.
all.
It really is. Like, by the time this airs, Christmas will be 3 days away. 2 days away, in fact.
2 days away, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Something
Christmas
even
Eve
more
Eve.
crazy. A year ago this time, Carell was getting us together in a group chat about figuring together about
Right.
The
what we want to do
podcast.
for this podcast. Like a year
That
has
is
gone by
true.
since we first
Wow.
initially started like
The
come
discussions
together
for
with
this.
The dolls
Yeah.
have come a long way, haven't we?
I got edges now.
Well,
Got that
bitch,
new
get ready
growth.
for them to be snatched.
Okay.
Man, yeah, no, time freaking flies. They say the older you get, the time flies, and I completely believe it.
Yeah, I see it happening. Like every year, it just seems like though you enjoy the most of the year and you have those moments where you're really present, you start to look back and you're like, damn, how is it April? How is
Yeah.
it May? How is it September? How is it Christmas? And then next, how is it that a decade has whole passed?
Huh.
Like this time is always hard for me because like the new year comes my birthday. And so on top
Yeah.
of it being a new year, I just can't help but think about aging at the same time. So I literally
Right.
started my whole year like just aging into like this whole I'm like, oh, it's a new year and I'm older. Like, damn.
Right.
Like,
I know, because your birthday's the same
Okay.
day as my brother's, which I
Yeah.
found out, which is crazy. So, do you feel that you get cheated on Christmas and birthday?
oh yes, I do.
Gift-wise?
Sure,
He
sure
does,
do.
too.
Sure do. And I have to tell people, I'm like, it's a whole different year. Like Christmas was last year. My birthday is on a different year. New year, new gifts. Period.
He feels the same way.
So your
every
parents
year.
must have had sex on what, Easter?
Ooh,
I mean,
Praise Jesus, he has risen.
Hey, he has risen, literally.
She said, I ain't worried about hiding them eggs. I'm worried about fertilizing the eggs.
I can't. Oh Lord!
No wonder she's so feisty.
Ooh, yes.
I was
Did
born
the
doing
Easter
the
bunny
spirit.
hop? That's so funny. Well, happy birthday, because community, we're breaking some news to you right now. So this is the last official new episode of the year. We're going to take a couple
Yes.
weeks, enjoy the holidays, enjoy
Yes.
our family. But don't get it twisted. There's still going to be 2 episodes that has like some new pieces in it. But it's the last, I guess, full new episode this year. So don't cry for us.
like the
Argentina.
the current version where we're talking about
Exactly.
current events. But don't let Auntie Carell get up here and get you guys twisted, because
No.
the stuff that we have in store for you, honey,
Exactly.
child, we
Yes.
threw our backs out, our necks out, our legs out, pulling this stuff together. You're gonna enjoy
Seriously.
it.
Exactly. So you better enjoy us now. Shit.
But
Tell
we're
your
gonna
auntie,
be
your
chomping at
friends,
the
your
bit,
neighbors
though.
to download this episode. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Hey, and you know what? Look, and we're going into 2020 part of the House of Wintour as well.
Yes.
You know, so
Yes.
Ow.
Honey. Yes. I know.
we got a house
Hey,
mother now.
Hopefully Dominique is listening. Hey, Dominique.
Hey,
Yes.
mother.
I know we were lit. We're like, oh shit, she following us.
Well, girl, it's about goddamn time because we tag her and everything, girl.
We sure do.
We do.
And then Smithy knows her. Like, Smithy DMs us. He's like, oh, yeah, that's my sis. Girl, where you been all year? You should have been told her about us.
Right.
Sheesh. Anyway, but thank you, Smith, for listening, too.
That was a nice little Christmas present. That was a really nice Christmas present. You know, when you can start getting like some celebrities to start following you on Instagram, knowing that they're really protective of their brand and who they follow, and they choose to follow us, a podcast that really celebrates the diversity of our people. That's pretty awesome.
I hear you. Preach it. I know.
Doing something right.
Huh. And you know what? Snatching new members, snatching new edges, snatching new phones like we JayZ. Y'all saw that clip of JayZ snatching that phone?
Yes, girl.
Honey. Wait, okay. It was so weird. Like, a part of me, when I saw that, even though I understand he was protecting his wife, I was like, I wish he would snatch my phone like that. I was like, I'm a grown man. Like, you're not snatching my phone like that.
But you know what, though? Like, I get that. I totally get that. But this is one of those Hollywood insider events. And everybody knows that with those events, there are very strict rules with those celebrities. True. And we all know that Beyonce is very much in control of her own image. And she don't want no pictures being out there without her getting that stamp of approval.
But who was recording this transaction happening? That's what I want to know. Like, somebody recorded, another man recorded, trying to get a recording of Beyonce. Like,
that's the tea. And then if you watch the end of that clip, you see Beyonce actually rub that guy's back. Like, oh, my bad. Like, it's all cool. But JayZ was not having it. Mm-mm. So part of me is like, okay, I get it. Don't be like filming my wife. Don't be filming my husband when he don't want to be filmed. However, don't be snatching my phone, Jay.
I have a theory. I feel like JayZ was still mad because he had to take a picture with Kanye, and that just fucked his whole mood up. So
the whole night.
Right? So he was just waiting for anything. He was like, first I get beat up in the elevator by Solange. Then I got to take a picture with Kanye. What else is going to happen? Oh, hell no, you ain't taking a picture of my wife.
Look, that look JayZ had in that photo is a whole damn mood. Like you can see in the picture him being like, this bitch. Like, you know,
like Diddy invited you.
Right. Like,
that's the look. The best we all know that look. We all know that look because that's the look you used to give your grandmama when you was at church and you hungry and she talking to everybody in church. And you know you can't say nothing because you don't get that back of that hand. But you just like sitting there in your Sunday best.
That's that look that Whoopi gave Meghan McCain.
Girl, stop talking right now.
Girl, stop talking right now.
That was a mood. That's my mood 2020. I'm here for it. I am so here for it. And it was so funny. Meghan was just like,
right.
And I was like,
she's like, well, I'm not going to talk the whole rest of the
episode. She's like, good. I'm okay with that.
And Whoopi was like, I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
She was doing that. She was doing that white girl privilege, backhanded, like, passive aggressive move. Yeah. Well, I'm just not going to talk during the entire show. And then what did Whoopi say?
She said, "I'm good with that.
I'm good with that. I'm okay with that." Because you know what you're not going to do,
right? And Whoopi said, "You know what? We'll be right back.
Go to commercial."
It'd be so funny. Like Meghan reminds me of that meme of like the person riding the bike, and then all of a sudden they stick the stick in their bike, and they fall over to try to blame it like someone else that knocked them off their bike.
Yeah,
she be playing that privilege shit like that. I'm like,
all the time,
and I love it too because on Fridays Whoopi ain't there. Whoopi's only there Monday through Thursday, so Friday she got Joy be leading, and Joy she cracked me up because she know that she be pissing the fuck off of Meghan.
Oh hell yeah,
and she be going in commercial. Meghan be talking mid sentence. We'll be right back. I'm like, damn,
Joy don't give a damn.
Just ruthless,
right? Joy's like, I've been here 30 years, bitch.
Like, she's like, look here, little girl.
It does make me wonder what happened behind the scenes. You know, she got her all the way together when they went to commercial.
I literally watched. She didn't say anything until what's his name came on the show.
De Niro.
Yeah, De Niro. And even then, she was more so like commenting off of what other people were saying. But everyone has questions they're supposed to ask when they have a guest. So I was like, I want to see her work around this girl because that's part of your contract and them coins to do this. So.
You know the producers are happy. They're happy with the disagreements.
The press.
It's good for the ratings.
They love it.
We all
Absolutely.
talking about it.
Right. But that, I mean, she was
That was the best though.
girl.
Whoopi was not playing that day.
I
Whoopi
mean,
was like,
we've all had that mama or auntie or grandma moment where some woman and be like, look here.
Look here.
You ain't gonna tell
Look
me
here.
nothing. You know, just like shut you all the way down. You're like,
you gonna stop talking right now.
And half the time they don't even get those words out. They give you that look, and you like, "Dang, I'm gonna get it." You know instantly.
Whoopi knew. She knew not today.
See, that's what
She
it is.
was like,
That might be
Molly,
a cultural difference.
You in danger, girl.
That might be a cultural difference. We would have looked at Whoopi and known we should have shut up.
Right.
Megan didn't know that look. That's
She
what
don't
that
know
is.
look.
but you
But
know,
you know now.
but the shade of it all,
Right.
though,
You know
and she
now?
had to squeeze in there. She had to squeeze in here. Stop talking, little girl. I was like, oh, she went all the way with the little girl. I was like, damn. God damn. That's when you knew, like, it was just the level of disrespect. Like, little girl, here. Listen here, little girl.
You know, that's just I'm tired of this 2010s right there. That's that mood. Like,
Right.
I'm just done with this decade.
That was like, I'm older than you. You are still a little girl. As far as I'm concerned, you a child. How old? 30 what? Guess what? You still a little girl.
Right. Oh, Lord. That was
I live
everything.
for it. I live
sure
for
did,
it.
too.
Sometimes these people got to be put in their place.
It's true.
True.
So you ain't just going to be talking over me.
True.
That's what you're not going to do.
Oh, but I want to bounce back though to the whole JayZ thing. That the best meme that came out of that situation was the meme where it's the picture and someone goes, "This is why I ask who gonna be over there." You know when you get an invite to a party and you ask who all going.
That is a fact of the century.
That is the number one reason why. The number one reason
It's like,
why. Right.
Who
there.
going? Who going?
Right.
I love
No.
how in that
No.
picture, the only one that really took the picture serious was Puffy. Because they
Mhm.
all look mad.
Yeah.
You know, you
Puffy
got
said it's my 50th, damn it.
he
He's like,
bossed up
take
and
that, take
posed
that.
up. He
Take that.
he
take
pulled the
that.
cufflinks out and everything. For that. He's like, you'll see all of this.
But you know what? It made me think though, like, and I know this is going down a rabbit hole, so good morning, community. But like Puffy might be, at least in a way, the start of like just the black excellence, like just heightness, extraness. Like Puffy was extra back in the day, so you
Yeah,
know
he
his
was.
50th was about to be extra. And so like I feel like he's one of the first ones that really glamorized, especially like black communities, but like just people of color, just extraness. And it's like, okay, yeah, we extra, but so what? We take that. We're gonna wear these puffy jackets. We're gonna wear these shiny suits. We're gonna be all in the video dancing, and we're gonna be sipping
With the
Cristal and all
fisheye
this stuff.
lens.
And then you
Be
guys
like-
are right with the fisheye lens. Come on, Hype Williams, and we're gonna take this and monetize this. And then, sure enough, here we are, 25 years later, and everybody's trying to monetize off that culture. Off our culture.
I want to
you
know, where does he get his energy from? Is he drinking like, like baby blood or something? Like he has so much energy and so much extraness. He's always
He's sipping
had
more
it.
on the living room floor. Playing Nintendo with Caesar Leo.
I mean, you see the pictures and the videos of his party. He is just like living it
I
up
know.
like he is 25.
I'm here for it.
No, here.
I'm
Hey, what
all
y'all
the
think
way.
about Beyonce's dress? How y'all like her dress at that event?
You better get that thigh all the way out there.
Right.
Y'all want to
Get
know a
that
fun
thigh
fact?
all the way out. What's that?
Fun fact: the designers that created that dress for Beyonce is from Fiznik's hometown and country, Jakova, Kosovo.
Oh, shut up.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
now.
Okay,
Yeah,
come through
so- and-
international.
I did
Yeah,
not know that.
Beyonce. They had did a red carpet dress for someone for the VMAs, and Beyonce saw it, and she reached out to them to design the dress for Puffy's event.
Oh, that's
Okay,
awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, they're
I mean,
from
she
Kosovo.
looked like a whole
Yes.
biscuit and a side.
So did. So did.
The whole,
You-
the thigh, the breast, the biscuit,
Mhm.
the sauce, the mashed potatoes.
You should have seen that Fiznik messaged me. He was like, guess what? My people made that dress. And I was like, go ahead. Y'all better do that. Y'all better
I know
do
that's right.
that.
I'm
Yes.
here for it.
Oh, and before we forget and we get too far into the episode, big old shout out and thank you to our boy Herson.
Yes,
who gave
Thanks,
us our
Herson.
amazing intro, girl.
Come on with that.
Thank you, Herson.
What's that?
She said, "What's that tea?" I know that's right. We trying to spill it, girl.
Sultry.
I like Herson.
Speaking of tea,
we had fun with Herson in New York.
Speaking of tea, and this wasn't even on a list of things to talk about, but can we talk about this whole Nick Cannon and Eminem thing about how sucking a dick is now an insult? Like, come on now.
And I think, what did I comment? I said, you know what? Like, what was my comment back to that? I forget now. Sucking dick that bad or something is an insult. Like,
Facts.
not actual the act of sucking dick.
Right.
Like, it's 2019. We're about to go into 2020. Being gay and like minimizing your masculinity, all that stuff, that needs to stay in 2019 and this decade. Like, it's not a joke no more. It's not even funny.
Even if you're bisexual, you are experimenting. Who the fuck cares?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And the fact that you want to out someone's business out there like that makes you a chump as far as I'm concerned. And I will say, I liked one line that Eminem said in his response. He was like, "You making my gardener jealous." And I was like, ooh, so somebody playing with that hose, huh? Okay, now.
Yeah, like that's like up there with like using the N-word. A lot of times straight men, when they're losing in a rap battle, when they're losing in a fight, when they're losing in whatever, that's what they try to throw out there. Well, suck my dick, or it's like, here we go. Like,
but you know what?
Got nothing else to say.
But you know what? This is signaling the end of an era when it comes to using those things as derogatory terms. You know, like,
I hope so.
I think there are so many people out there that are so offended and fed up with this kind of language. You know, using people's looks against them, using, you know, some certain sexuality against them. These are all things that are they're becoming more unacceptable as part of our vernacular, which is a great place to be. It feels like we're moving in the right direction. But can we just call a spade a spade? Like, why the hell is Eminem and Nick Cannon still going over the same shit 30 years later?
Because they're trying to get that Mariah Carey "All I Want for Christmas" coin.
I mean, good for her, you know.
Right.
And surprising that this is the first year after 25 years that her "All I Want for Christmas Is You" has gone number one.
Well, for the longest, they couldn't put holiday songs on the Hot 100. And then they finally loosened the reins on that in like maybe 2012. And then now with all the streaming and everything being added into that tabulation as well, that's what kind of helped it.
She's going to be up there every single year, girl. I'm here for
her 19th
number
one. Her 19th number one. That's insane.
As much extraness she is, like, you can't deny the stats.
No. Not at all.
She's like one below the Beatles, and she unbroke her tie with Elvis. Mm-hmm. So that's crazy. 19 number ones. Go ahead, girl.
You know she's gonna come out with another banger.
I don't blame her. I'm gonna try. You got to try to break the record now.
You got to.
Seriously.
You got to.
Why not? Ain't no who gonna do it after you?
Who gonna stop me, boo?
Who gonna check me? Well, Rihanna's right there. Rihanna has 14, so Rihanna might still have a few more in her as well. So both of them. Come on now. Come on, black women. Yeah.
I'm here.
Speaking of black women,
and
Miss World, right?
Yes.
Miss World is black.
Black.
I was so here for that. Wait, and yet, did y'all hear her sing that Whitney Houston song too?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, so for the talents,
sound good.
Yeah, she did okay.
Okay. Which Whitney song?
She sang
"I'm the Queen of the Night."
No.
That would have been mine.
The one from The Bodyguard. Share my life. Take me for what
She's saying I have
nothing. Yeah, she's saying I have nothing.
That song might be harder to sing than I Will Always Love You.
Yes. She sang she did a really good job singing that. I mean, her vocals weren't like spectacular, but she did a good job at singing to her arrangement. You know, she arranged it for her vocals. She didn't try to fill in Whitney's shoes. She was like, this is my limits, this is my lane. So I'm gonna do what I can and swerve in my lane and only my lane. And she did a good job.
With the two-step.
She didn't cry. She hit her notes. She went up where she needed to. And shout out to Miss Nigeria too for the ultimate representation of like just hyping up your people. Like, I don't care if I win, but guess what? You won. You my sis. Like, we in this together. Like, you win, I win. Like, that's my goal for 2020. Like, that's what I just want to see people start doing more in the future, is just uplifting each other. Like, when one person make it, celebrate it. You know, let them have their spotlight.
Preach
and be
on
like,
it.
you deserve this. You know, be proud. Instead of being like, it's always a competition. We need to be, you know, pit each other against each other. Like, just, man, like, that was some real ass love, yo.
Yeah.
Just some real,
and it was
real
genuine.
love.
It was
genuine.
like, as soon as they made the announcement, she was the first one jumping up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was jumping.
She had her
up
praise
in the
dance
air.
on there. And like, even Miss World, she was just like, she was kind of stopped. She was kind of like shocked, and she grabbed her face. She was like, "You got this. You did this." You know, she was like, "Go get your crown." I was like, "Come on, just."
Can we have a moment though? I didn't even know there was a Miss World. I thought we were done with Universe.
Well, you know, you got to get to the
there's another
world
one?
before you can go to the universe, I guess.
Right. I was like, damn, how many pageant titles they got? We win in them all, but how many we got?
I'm ready for the Miss Moon, the Miss Jupiter,
Right, Miss Venus,
the Miss Galaxy, the Miss Black Hole.
Is that starring Jarrell?
You know what? First of all, I am not on Pornhub, okay? So
if
don't
it
try
does,
me.
she won't be making no sounds.
That's my talent, okay? Don't try me.
Right.
I'm done. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning, exactly.
Hope y'all are enjoying this. Your drive to work, your walk to work, or however you get there.
And in case y'all were wondering, yes, we made the naughty list this year, okay?
Yes, naughty and nice, bitch. Yes.
Barely.
So, Dewan, you said you went to that slave play, right?
Yes.
How was it?
It was amazing. It was just absolutely amazing. You know, I've been struggling a lot with how to provide the community with just an update on this, because so much of the play is experiential, and it explores a lot of really cool and interesting and deep and raw themes. What I will say is that even though the name is slave play, it's not what you think it's going to be. And without giving it away, you know, one of the things that I found that was really interesting about it was that it really explored the dynamics specifically between interracial relationships. Okay. Honestly, aunties, you know, because, you know, we connect every single day outside of the podcast, and we're all in interracial relationships. I was sitting there and I was just like, damn, I wish my aunties and their boos were here, because this really, it made you think about things like the power dynamics that are driven by, you know, same-sex relationships, the power dynamics driven by age in a relationship, and, you know, the unique perspectives that a white person who is in an interracial relationship with a black person, and the black person with the white person, and their unique needs that may or may not be met by the other person, regardless of their intent. It was fascinating. I went, it was me and Adam, my friend Cheyenne, hey Cheyenne, and my friend Joan, hey Joan. She's listening from London today. But we all went, and we had a really good dialogue, you know, like right after that, but it took us, we were silent for a good 5 minutes, because it was just like, it took that much time to just wrap our brains around like what we saw. We laughed. There were some like tearful moments. There were some like angry moments. There were some like, you know, like shocking moments. And what I would say is, if you have the opportunity and to be in New York before January 9th, I believe it's the last day.
Oh, wow. So it's that quick of a
It's that
run.
quick. It was off Broadway.
Okay.
Sold out.
Yeah.
Got critical acclaim. And then it moved to Broadway. And it's had a semi-limited engagement. I haven't heard whether or not it's been extended or not, but if you have the opportunity, please check it out. It's spectacular.
Wow. Yeah,
I'm going to need somebody who got that cousin that sell the bootlegs to send me a copy, because I'm not making it to New York by January 9th.
Me
But,
neither.
you know, I wouldn't mind me a bootleg. Somebody, y'all know somebody out there, community.
You know somebody.
Okay?
I honestly hope either they extend it or they adapt it for, you know, like, I don't want to say like the movies, but like maybe adapt it for television, like Netflix takes it or HBO takes it and adapts it for TV, because I think it could be really really interesting for a lot of people to see just what happens. But this
Come
is
on,
also one
Viola,
of those
where
things
you
where you
at?
don't, right? Where them coins at? But this is also one of those things where, like, I don't know what it's not really a twist, but it's not what you think it's going to be about. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah. I want to say I just didn't know it was that limited of a run. That sucks. And
That
maybe,
really-
like you
that
said,
does
either they
suck.
extend it or they bring it back or something like that just because of the acclaim from it, you know?
Mm-hmm. I'm doing my best when I'm here in the city and to keep myself aware of like these things that are happening, just so that, I can share with you guys, like, here are some things that are sharing a different part of the lives that we experience. And we talk about this all the time, that representation matters. And it's great to see, your lives being portrayed in media format. So as a Black man in a mixed race relationship, there were themes that really spoke to me about things that I need and want out of my relationships or relationships I had in the past. So there were some very strong themes that really just spoke to me. And I think even if you're not in a mixed race relationship, it could speak to you too in meaningful ways in terms of what you need and what you want and what you're willing to give.
Did you learn anything, I guess, from the other side of it too? Like for Adam's sake, like, because you say like it showed both sides of the coin of what each side it needed from a mixed relationship.
Yeah, there was one moment. It was like an epiphany that one of the characters had about her partner, and she was a black woman with a white man, and the white man in the relationship was loving, adoring, and seemingly willing to give in to all the things that she was asking of him in a sense. But she could not, she got a glimpse of him in a different light, and that shaded her perspective of him, and she couldn't get out of it. You know, when like something happens and you look at somebody different, and no matter what your relationship was in the past, and no matter what their intent was, you can't see them any different than that one glimpse.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really powerful moment for me. As I think about like from like through Adam's eyes or through just this character's eyes, that there was nothing in his ability that he could ever do to change the way that she saw him.
Yeah.
So then she had to grapple with that. But then also he was forced to be at the mercy of whatever her decision was on how she was going to move forward.
Yeah. And that's a lot of relationships, honestly. That's interesting. Huh.
It's
Okay,
deep,
damn,
girl.
I definitely ain't going to make it to January 9th, but damn, I'm intrigued.
But look, if this play gets extended, I'm gonna be the first one to let y'all know. And then we can go together. We can figure out a way to get there together.
Exactly. I'm all the way down.
I know y'all also watching Watchmen as well.
Woo! Literally,
we've been holding on this for a while.
We haven't. Well, for the longest, Dewan wasn't watching. Both of y'all were watching for the longest. I was like, come on, y'all missing out. But now y'all caught up. And
girl, I missed 3 episodes.
Girl,
3.
you just
There's
hold
only
on.
6.
Hold on. I'm going to rewind the podcast.
There's 9
There's only
episodes.
6.
There's 9 episodes.
There's 9 episodes,
okay.
girl.
Then maybe I missed 4.
It's a good...
That's a month. I don't want to be left out of the movement, y'all.
Right. Because we just talked about this like 2 episodes ago, and you're like, okay, I'm going to watch this weekend. I'm going to catch up.
And I did.
You did. You showed it. But anyway, it's some of the best TV that I've seen in a while. Some of these episodes were just so well written, so well acted, so well filmed, so well thought out, so well everything, while still being a comic book show. Like, mind blown.
So for people who have never heard of or may have seen it but don't know anything about The Watchmen, how would you describe what it is in total?
So Watchmen is a adult, what they say, adult graphic novel, a comic book from the 80s that they adapted into a movie maybe 6-7 years ago now, early 2000s. And it's a beloved comic book, honestly. It's kind of on like, it's not as big as like your Spider-Mans and Supermans and things, but people who read it and like lived it are such stands for this comic book. So when it was talked about being a TV show, people were like, I don't know, because the movie wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, et cetera, et cetera. So there are already grapplings before it even came out of people saying, I don't know if it's going to live up to what I think it should be. And
they knocked it out the fucking park.
They did. The way they twisted it, because the Watchmen was based in like the Cold War era. So for
the movie was based there.
And the comic
books too. The comic books,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so for them to find a way to twist it to make it relevant for 2019
was genius.
Was brilliant.
Really, really, really brilliant.
It is so topical, and it's so
it's crazy how much of it like can feel very now in the moment. Like you can be like, I can see some shit happening like that. But at the same time, like they have the comic book aspect. So there's certain things that are like, damn, that's really fucked up. Thank God that's just fake. You know, that's not real. You know, that's make believe shit. But I mean, like the acting is
incredible.
Great. Like, I mean, Regina King is amazing. The guy that plays her husband, his fine chocolate.
Oh, Yaya could get it.
All of it.
ASAP.
And break it in half.
Let's just have a moment for Yaya, y'all.
And his ass, okay?
And his frontal.
And his frontal too.
And his dick.
That scene when you see them cheeks.
Oh my God.
I mean, like, and his body. I mean, it was just like, damn.
He looks chiseled.
Right.
Like chiseled out of like a mountain.
Like Twitter had a field day. Like, it didn't matter if you were gay, straight, male, female, all the above. Everybody was like, who is this man?
Mm-hmm. What a beautiful chocolate man.
Because like he's from like the Get Down, and he was in Aquaman, but he's having the come up of the year because he's going to be in the Matrix 4 now. It was announced he's going to be in the new Matrix movie, so he's the come up of the year of the past couple years. But yeah, listen, Yaya was incredible.
Was
Woo, Jesus.
Like, that's some BDE right there.
Right. A whole lot.
It's not BDE when you know it's real.
Right.
Look, I wasn't quite sure the first time that I saw it, but when he was just sitting there on his knees and it was soft,
you're like,
I was like,
you're like, that's real.
Funny. So anyway, I don't even know what we're talking about.
And shout out to that being basically the own real like nudity of the whole show.
Yeah.
Well, they had some early in the season.
I mean,
too.
like
Remember,
they have. But I guess I should say male nudity.
It was tasteful.
Like,
and
there was way more
too.
male nudity than there was
the women.
Female nudity, which is something you rarely see a lot these days.
I agree.
Too. Which I was like, yes, you use them beautiful man as a beautiful man for my eyeballs.
But I mean, and that's staying true, and that's really staying true to the comic, because in the comic, the main character, Mr. Manhattan, Dr. Manhattan, is naked. This superhero being, he's naked the entire time for the most part. So that was great. And then
old girl from Designing Women is in it, and she killed her part.
She did.
What is her name? I can't remember her real name, but she killed Phil Blake, who plays who's
Mirror
the guy
Man?
with the say again?
Glass
Man.
Mirror Man. He killed that. Like, everyone stepped up to the plate and was like, I'm about to knock this part out of the park. And everyone was like, oh, you acting that tough? Okay, I gotta act this. Like, it was crazy.
You know what it reminded me of? The way that it was shot reminded me of a lot of Quentin Tarantino's movies, like Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill, because the way that it was edited and put together, the way that it was directed, superbly acted, written, and then the way that it was put together was very much in that comic book style, whereas you're getting pieces of it at a time. So you'll see a vignette over here. You'll see a vignette over here. You'll see another vignette over there. And then you have no sense of time for most of it. Some of it's like in black and white, but for most of it
plays into that whole show if you think about it. Now that you say that.
for most of it, it was like you have no idea what the sequence of time is. And that's exactly what comic books are all about. Like sometimes you'll have like a sprint of 2 or 3 pages where it's like consecutive story, but then the next page you flip over, it's something completely different. So I love how they pulled together each of the episodes within the episodes. It was almost like a puzzle piece where it wasn't until like the last 3 episodes
the last 3 episodes
that you got what was going on.
Like what?
You were entertained.
Oh,
don't get me wrong. It wasn't like you were just like confused for the first couple of episodes, because I don't want anybody to be like, oh, that sounds like I'm not going to get it. But it's not that. You are completely entertained and along for the journey, but the way that they introduced characters and storylines was so precise that you got the full enjoyment of each episode, and it made you wanting more by the end.
You wanted more, and you had some questions. You're like, "Ooh, but what about this?" Like it left you wanting more, where you were intrigued, and your own imagination was starting to play into like the storyline and trying to guess what's happening next. And then like how they did it was just so phenomenal, because it came, like episodes, 7, 8, 9. Then you're like, "What? Wait, hold up." Huh? It was just so good. And Physic and I were sitting last night, because we finished the last episode this week too, and we were just like, the last show that made me feel this excited was Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And see, I didn't even like Game of Thrones, so this one is light years above Game of Thrones. So if that tells you anything, though, like if you two like who were stands for Game of Thrones are saying this up there, and for me, I didn't care for it, but like it was literally some of the best TV I've seen in so long, and just you could tell they did the due diligence and taking the time to map out what they wanted the show to be before they started writing it, because each episode was just so like the way it was just written, and the way like once you get to the end and now you look back at the season, how they were giving you fucking clues the entire time.
Oh my gosh.
You just like like I want to go back and watch the entire thing now, because even from the first episode, now that I think back, I'm like, they told us what was going to be the ending.
Really did.
Like they told us. It was craziness. It was so crazy.
Go watch it.
It's so good.
Honestly, go watch it. You'll be entertained. It'll be great for the holiday season. All 9 episodes are out, so you can binge it. It's on HBO.
It's on HBO.
Like, find somebody who got a login, share them. Buy them a drink, a coffee, or something for sharing the login for you for free or whatever. But go peep it. It's
at the minimum, watch it for Yaya.
Yeah. It's
you won't be disappointed.
It's worth it. Absolutely.
Oh Lord. But I think it's that part of the episode now. What is it? It's the last one of the year.
Yeah,
Ask
it is
your
the last
aunties.
one.
Oh, it's the last one of the year. Kind of sorta, yeah.
Kind of sorta.
So here we go. Ask your aunties.
Ask your aunties.
All right, and let me see here. So this week's Ask Your Aunties is actually going to be kind of a continuation from the last episode. So if you recall, the last episode we talked about how Billy Porter was feeling disrepresented and discriminated against in Hollywood for being a gay black man. And we actually got a lot of feedback from that episode. I know Smithy said we tried Billy Porter because, yes, he did get discriminated. But then over the week, we saw this other clip where it was 3 black women, and they were talking about, are you whitewashed at work? And it got us thinking. We're like, okay, maybe that's a continuation conversation for last week's episode. So do you feel like you're whitewashed or straight washed at work, which maybe contributes to this quote unquote, we're not feeling discriminated? Like, are we our full 100% authentic selves at work? Culturally and sexually? I mean, obviously you're not going to be having sex with your workers, but just like, are you bringing your full gay blackness to work? Or do you feel like, oh, I got to tame it back so I fit in with the masses to be promoted or, whatever it may be at work? So I guess thoughts to that.
Okay, I can go first. I was trying to gather my thoughts and make sure that I'm not hurting anyone's feelings. But fuck it. So the truth is, yeah, I've had to turn it down just a little bit.
Alexa, turn my blackness down.
Yeah, literally, Alexa, turn my blackness down.
See.
Because like for some people who don't understand, who don't know how to be a POC, who it's not take it back, who are not a POC, they don't understand, and it can be a little much for them. And people fear the unknown. So when they don't know something, they tend to kind of be frightened and like act like, you know, someone's trying to threaten them, etc. So I've had to, the technical term, which is code switch, and I've had to put on my white voice. So that way I don't sound harmful to someone. You know, that relaxing NPR voice that, you know, isn't threatening, you know, but lo and behold, I'm clapping in silence at the same time behind all of it. So I've had to do that before, but as I've gotten older, and especially with this podcast, I've learned to just embrace it more and stop caring more so about how my life bothers other people. Like if my life is bothering you, you're not living your life, period. You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm all about just being my authentic self. I got one life and I'm no longer doing that. You know, I've had to do that. And like, for instance, like even with interviews, sometimes you'll have to like, you know, play the role, be like, oh, I'm fun and bubbly and like all this other stuff. Like, and then you get in there and you're like, oof, okay, they are a hot mess up in this bitch.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Soap opera says.
Yeah.
You got one life to live. Who's right?
I don't know.
Who's wrong?
I've had to before.
I had never, well, I guess I've thought about it here and there, but it was just interesting watching that because I'm like, the job I'm in now is the first time that in the office it's half black or at least half people of color and half white. And I have not had that in my career till literally now. So this is 13, 14 years.
Girl, how that feel?
It's made me realize that I probably have whitewashed myself in the corporate world. And that there's conversations now that I can have with more of the black people there that I'm like, wow, I've never been able to have these conversations or talk this certain way or certain slang or certain mannerisms where they just get it.
Right.
That I'm like, wow, I've never had this before. And wow, I might have whitewashed myself just to survive and get promoted in corporate America. And it's quite interesting. And honestly, straight wash yourself because I'm like, I'm not all the way girl. Yes, Lord. And you kind of hear it more from like the straight women than anything. And I sit there, I'm like, oh, Lord, like gay culture all over here. Yeah, the gay guy in the room can't really be all the way like gay when he wants to be sometimes. And then it makes me just think back to the question last week. It's just like, do I do that because I know I will be discriminated against? Which is really the true foundational question of that. It's just like, am I doing that or have I had to do that just for sheer survival to ensure that I'm getting promoted, to make sure my coins are okay and bills paid and things like that, which is interesting. And it's kind of sad to almost think that you can't give 100% of yourself at work. And maybe sometimes it might not be appropriate to do so. Like you can't just say any and everything at work. It is a professional environment and they can hold whatever image that they want for their brand because it is their company. I'm just a number at the company at the end of the day. But it really took me literally being in this new role that I'm in for me to be like, whoa, I haven't been in this situation where I could be like, hey, what's up, man? Like, you know, or like, you know, there's just certain shit that you do when you're with people of your culture that you don't do where you're not in that environment. And it's been interesting. It's been quite interesting. And actually, one of the ladies, she brought it up. She's from DC, cool lady that I work with. And for her, she has been in her entire career thus far, and she's younger than I am, been in situations where she has been around more black people for her. So for her, she was like, oh, no, this is the norm for me. Like, and like she's all the way herself. Like she be having her little black girl magic moments. She has like her natural hair out. Like it's everything. And I'm like, damn, this is dope to me. It's wild. So yes, I think I'm guilty of being whitewashed and straight washed in my corporate world because probably in the back of my mind, some kind of fear of being discriminated against.
So I just went through a job change too. And, you know, she in the weed business, y'all.
Yes. Get that weed money.
Yes. And she found out what that discount is too. So
So you
She
know
know
not
all
want to
the
put that in the
secrets.
podcast. All the community gonna be hitting you up.
All right, the DM's gonna be lit after this.
Literally.
No, I'm just playing, but
Right.
Come on, dad jokes.
you know what? See, you've been hitting me hard with these dad jokes all week, girl.
gosh, I
But all that to say that, this question is really kind of topical because I had to think about like, oh, okay, having gone through the interview process and now I'm starting to meet all these people, have I code switched for the purpose of, advancing my career or getting promotion, whatnot. And I think that I know for a fact that I've code switched because the way that I talk to you guys, the way that I talk to my family, the way that I talk to my other friends, and the way that I talk to people that I work with, depending on how cool I am with them, is going to be different. Just like the way that I talk to my friends and the way that I talk to my mom is going to be different. So I code switch. I do think to a large degree when I code switch language, like out of like the blackness of me to like when I'm speaking to like white people in particular, like whether it's at the job or not, I think in part it's less about, for me, about discrimination, and it's more about and this is going to sound wild or whatever, but just take it in the spirit in which I'm giving it to you. I don't want to give you permission to talk like me, to act like me, because it's not your culture. So if I'm code switching because you're white and you grew up wherever you grew up and you don't have the same kind of cultural references, I don't want you saying girl back to me. I don't want you saying like dis and dat back to me. Like dis and dat.
Because it's not authentic.
Because that's not you. And I don't want you to feel just because I'm the black person here and we're having a conversation, that now you can start to appropriate. So what I do, just instinctively, I code switch. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not giving you my authentic self, but I am recognizing that the appropriate language that I'm using in this encounter is so that I'm not giving you license to appropriate my culture.
So are you bilingual? Are you bilingual?
Girl, she code switches. she code switches to a whole bunch of languages, bitch.
But no, that's actually very true, though. That's an interesting way to put it. Because there definitely is, even on the podcast, I'm not I am pretty animated a lot of the time.
Look,
always talk with my
community, if y'all would have saw our face, we real quick.
But there are certain instances, like you said, like with your parents, you might talk a certain manner, or with your close friends, you talk a certain manner, and things like that. And it doesn't mean that you're being authentic. It's just maybe just different sides of yourself being out there. So no, I that's interesting.
I've never thought of it as me code switching for the purpose of I don't want to be discriminated against because of my culture and the way that I speak or the way that I carry myself. I actually think that, the fact that I have the ability to code switch, particularly in my industry of like HR, learning and development and coaching and, training, allows me to be able to connect with that many more people in a way that's authentic for that relationship. And it's only enhanced my ability to grow my career, I feel. But I can certainly understand where someone's mannerisms and cultural references and language and vocabulary, or the lack thereof, can be perceived negatively against them. And that's not just a black thing, because there are a whole bunch of white people out there that sound crazy. And I'm sure, like, even just like, I'm sure a lot of people of color cultures feel this. Like, I'm sure Hispanics feel this a lot, just like, especially with the bilingualness of a lot of folks. I'm sure they get that a lot, especially with old Cheeto boy. Hopefully he's impeached tonight, by the way, we're filming this. So by Monday, hopefully this mother effer is impeached. Just what he's heightened in this country of being scared of bilingualness and different cultures. So it's not just black folks that are feeling this. It's a lot of people of color, Native American, Asians, Middle Eastern, that I'm sure they feel this a lot of times. And it was just an interesting thought process, especially since we just talked about that last week, for this to come up again in the ether. And I'm like, man, what is the universe trying to tell me this week, or to just think about differently than before? Or even what was the trend that's going on Twitter right now? The black famous versus white famous.
Yeah.
So there's just even just differences within the culture that that's out there, and I guess you just adjust accordingly to whom you're with and around, and it doesn't necessarily, like you said, have to be a negative thing. You're just adjusting to your audience at times.
Well, I've learned for me as I've been coming more into being, I know I'm the I'm that real bitch. I'm that real bitch.
It's funny. Like, I get DMs. I get people who listen to the podcast. They're like, "Man, Jarrell just be on it, huh?" I'm like, "That's him. That's all the way him."
As I've come into being that person, I've also learned how to be that person in different spaces. Like, I can still be that person, but just my deliverance may be different. So the volume of my voice may be different. The tone in my voice may be different. But the attitude, the point, who I am, that part doesn't change. So instead of talking all the way up here, I may just be like, okay, I'm gonna keep it calm. Because, silent can be deadly too, So I still, then I'm like, okay.
She always try to cut a bitch.
Right.
Talking and farting.
Exactly.
This Auntie Hennessy got a bottle already cracked.
Look, I keep one under the tongue. Okay, don't play with me, bitch.
I know, like that's like Dominic sent us that DM today where he's like, "Oh, I don't give side eye, I cut a bitch." I'm like,
okay now.
But she got the knives, girl.
Right.
Dom, I know you got that collection of knives out there too, girl.
I'm like, we ain't cutting bitches today. Come on, we're going to 2020, but I get it, girl. I get it.
Yes.
I'll meet you outside.
Right.
You better call the Uber. Don't walk home, girl.
But let me ask you guys this question, because this is something I've been thinking about a lot. Like, I tend to be a very self-reflective, very self-aware person. Even as I'm saying something, I'm analyzing what I'm saying. It just happens.
Same here.
But then I know a lot of people who aren't that way, who can force themselves to be reflective and analyze their behavior, but are not intrinsically, like, naturally self-reflective and self-aware. So in fact, what they end up doing is they just show up however they show up.
Yeah.
And even though they may say like these quotes of like, oh, motivation and I want to be my best self and blah, 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 they still act the same way. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just curious, how much do you guys think does self-awareness plays into that code switching, to impact other people?
I mean, I think it plays
or does
lot.
It?
I think it plays a lot into it. I mean, because if you're self-reflecting, that means you're aware of your presence and your actions and your responsibility and what you bring to the table. And that also means that you're aware that there's a possibility of you being wrong. Like, if you're self-reflective, you're giving yourself the room to be human, which means you may have made a mistake or done something wrong, which means you are going to be better at improving something in a situation that you could have done better for the next time. But if you're not self-reflective, I don't think you really can code switch, because it's like the gas, you
just show up.
Yeah. You're just full force the whole entire time.
Like the Kool-Aid man just busting through walls.
Oh yeah. That's a very interesting question. And at my first inkling, just because I'm a very self-aware, I overthink, just think.
You? No.
I know, right? Every day, all day, my entire life. But I would have probably years ago agreed with Jarrell's perspective, and I probably still do just naturally. But I feel like it's almost what comes across isn't, like we said earlier, an authenticity that people could tell if you're an overthinker and self-aware, and they know that's you. Also, the same way on the flip side, people could see that maybe you might not be as self-aware, but you just come as you are. And that's what charms and warms people up to that kind of person as well. Mm-hmm. I think people can read whatever you are on your body language and just the way you talk. And yes, you might not be as self-aware or self-reflective in the moment as some people are. But if they tried to do that in the moment, it would come across so non-genuine, Just because, and that's just something I've had to learn, because there's just people I know that I'm like, gosh, they might not just be as self-aware, self-reflective, and maybe they are, just not in the manner that we kind of are, that I've learned as well. And if they tried it in that moment, it would come across so non-genuine and so non-authentic that then we'd probably just be like, oh, then why are you being fake? Like, what? Something's off, you know? And that's something that I've had to learn because I'm like, not everyone's going to reflect in the moment the same way I do.
Right.
And that's something I've had to learn over time.
Is that just more of a testament to their ability to self-reflect? Like, if it's coming across non-genuine, to me personally, I think that they're not doing a good enough job at self-reflecting. Because I think if you're really good at self-reflecting, then you know how to make that switch without it being disingenuine. Because if you're self-reflecting, you're trying... This is me. If you're self-reflecting, you're looking at a situation to better yourself. So if you're bettering yourself, that's who you are. So it should come across genuine. So I think personally, if you're doing it correctly, if you're changing to be better, I think there's no way to come across as fake.
And I guess I hear what you're saying in that, and I think I might have said it wrong. What I'm trying to say is, like, a lot of times when you're self-reflecting, there's people that self-reflect in that moment of when they're talking, and literally the moment it comes out and how you said it and what you're doing, you're already in your head like, okay, did that come across genuine? Did that come, whatever it may be? There might be some people, they come as they are and do their self-reflecting at another time, and it's not as much in the moment right then. So I don't think it's like that they're not like wanting to grow and self-reflect and things like that. I just think there might be a spectrum on how folks actually do that process.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I tend to be way more self-reflective after situations occur. You know, I'm definitely more of a person like, oh shit. In hindsight, maybe I should have said that.
Right.
You know, and maybe like
I should not have sliced those tires.
Or maybe I shouldn't have beat that bitch ass. My bad. You know, I just got caught up in the moment. You know,
like I want to be a better person from now on.
From now on,
this point,
you know,
on.
like for real.
Right.
For real.
For me, like literally mine is like I already think something and I'm already reflecting right then, like, oh no, nope. Can't do
See,
it.
I'm not good. I'm
say
definitely I'm worse at it. Like, and sometimes I would like, it's always after I do something. Like I will say something and I'm like, ooh, okay, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. What I should have said is this. But at that point, like, the damage is already fucking done. You know, like,
too late,
right? You know? So like, I guess it's like, damn, Drill, you didn't catch yourself, but you caught yourself too late, bitch. Like, you should have just drove that car off the cliff. And at that point, like, you ain't gonna make it no better. But like, that's like, I've had to learn to be better at that, especially like even like with my relationships, not just with Physic, but with other people and at work. You know, that's something that I've had to learn to be able to be better with, is like try to think before you speak. And it's just so hard when I'm not an emotional person. So when I tap into my emotions, she's crazy as fuck. You know, she'd be like, I got one motion. Well, no, I'm at 9 this year. You know, we got 13 more days to get me to 10. So
I do feel like, you know, kind of getting back to the question that, you know, definitely there are some people that need to find their tribe or find their moment, you know, and what I mean by that is some people are in jobs or in cultures, whether it's a job or a relationship or a family or whatever, that even though they are in it, it's not for them. And they just need to find their tribe, you know? So if I would just say, if you are code switching in a sense so that you can be seen, maybe that's an indicator that, you know, that the tribe that you're trying to be seen in is not really the tribe for you. Unless, you know, your intention is you want to be seen so that you can make a difference within that tribe, you know. But then I think the other part of it is, you know, sometimes you need to find your moment. And sometimes, you know, there are things that we are not self-aware of. I think that came out right. There are things in our lives that we may not be aware of in terms of how we come across, that may be perceived as code switching, may be perceived as disingenuous, and may be perceived differently. And sometimes it takes a moment where you're getting some real feedback from a trusted source, or, you know, maybe you realize you suffer the consequences or the benefits of your actions in that moment that give you a moment of clarity to say, I should not have done that, kind of Drill, what you were saying. Like, I should not have done that, or I'm so glad I did that.
Yeah. And one thing, and I guess I'm repeating a dead horse probably by now. You guys got the point. But the one thing I did take away from the clip that I saw was they said you could either be straight washed or whitewashed making 5 figures, or you could be your genuine self in that same job and ultimately make 6-7 figures, because people ultimately enjoy genuineness and authenticity and things like that. And that's what I really took away. It's just like, here you are thinking you have to change to keep your job and to keep paying the bills and keep your check, when in reality you could literally be yourself, and hopefully you're not like crazy and things like that. I mean, there's limits to it, but be your genuine self to make even more. Like, they hired you, or people around you, to get to know the genuine you. They don't need the washing of Carell. They don't need the washing of Jarrell and Dewan. They want you. There's something specifically that's different about you than anyone else on earth. And my dad always says that. He's like, the most original thing about you is you. So you might as well be original, you know? And so I was like, you know what? That's so true. It's like, here we are thinking, trying to be like everybody else. And that's too hard. So you might as well be your genuine self and make some coins while you're doing it. So anyway. So
can we talk about somebody who was being themselves and got the shit beat out of them?
Yes, girl. I sure want to talk about that.
Sorry. That was a hard left, but I figured it was appropriate for this conversation.
You know what? I want to be Kamaru so bad.
Bad.
He served Colby everything that he deserved. So first, y'all,
okay, context.
There was a UFC fight that happened this past weekend, and for a championship, and the previous champ was a pro-Trump MAGA hat wearing white guy named Colby, who was literally showed up to their weigh-in wearing Trump and pin shirt. He had a MAGA hat on. He brought a MAGA hat to give to Kamaru as well.
And Candace Owens to sit in the front row.
And Candace,
don't even get me started on that.
I know.
But then was like, talking all sorts of shit about make America great again. He had been like visiting Trump at the White House.
And he said, what has Kamaru, is that how you say his name, Kamaru? He's like, what has his family ever done for America besides like serving the federal penitentiary? Like, he was saying all kinds of shit about this dude.
Talking all sorts of shit. 4 minutes
Reckless.
and 51 seconds. Bitch, knock that bitch out. And you can see a slow motion of him dislocating his jaw. Bitch.
I can't even watch that video.
Let me tell you, I replayed that. I felt joy every time I rewind those 30 seconds. I was like, "Ooh, get that bitch! Get that bitch!" As if I hadn't seen it the first time. Girl, I live for it. Live for it.
It was like watching The Matrix.
Wait, hold on. And then he ran to the locker room.
He
ran out the arena,
jumped out of that bitch, and ran to the locker room like a little punk,
like a bitch.
Yep, real talk.
Run to that locker room.
You know what? The thing that I wanted to point out about this the most, though, is if you are someone that likes to get reactions out of people, don't be afraid when you get the reaction that you've been trying to get out of that person.
Don't be surprised.
Don't be surprised. And don't play victim, and don't be a little bitch about it, because that's called the consequences of your actions. If you are deliberately trying to piss someone off, being hateful and trying to hurt someone, okay, you deserve the anger that they may have decided to give to you, and then some. Just real talk.
And it's the one sport that all this shit talking you doing, you're going to have to back it up at some point. There's a date. There's contract signed. There's coins on the line. You're going to have to get your ass in that ring to try to back that shit up. And you can't. And he did. And here's the crazy thing, too, about this. He didn't back it up, ran, and then started talking some more shit at the end, at the interviews at the end, saying, "Oh, the referees, I wasn't knocked out. The referees called it too quick and all that." Dude, you just got your ass beat. Shut up. Girl, what we saying? Girl, stop talking.
Girl, stop talking. Right, for real.
T-shirt.
It's like, for real, I felt him. Like, I felt him in the sense of, like, I can name several times in my life where I've had a white person try to pull something very dark out of me and to pull a reaction to make me
wait, what were they trying to pull out of you?
A reaction.
Oh, okay. Something dark out
That's
of you.
what they calling it now. Is that one of them 2020 terms?
But like to pull something out of me that makes me be nothing but then like the stereotype of what some white people like to stereotype black men as aggressive and angry and mad,
angry.
You know? And I've had people try to do that to me. And there's been times where I've given in. And there's been times where I've been like, you know what? I see what you're trying to do. I'm not going to go there today. But people need to learn that that's not okay. It is not okay to treat people like that. And it's not okay to try to pull people out of character. Because that's just as wrong as a person that beats your ass.
Facts. And hey, he got paid to do it. So
sure did. I know. Fuck, how nice would that be?
Wait, no, you ain't about to hit my face. Not today.
Look, that's what I said. I couldn't be my profession.
Nope,
It's not my testimony at all. But let me tell you,
my ministry.
How it will be nice to cut a check and be like, okay, cool.
He hit that boy's face with all the power of all the people in them detention camps. Right?
He hit him with the power of all the ancestors.
And all of them. Like, it was just like,
he said this for the motherland,
the video, bitch. The point of impact was just like, I felt it.
Oh.
Like, he punched him and I felt it. I was like, damn.
And here's what I liked about Kamaru, too. He said, like, people asked him, they're like, oh, did you hear them chanting USA, USA, thinking it was a negative thing? He's like, oh, yeah, they were chanting for me. He's like, I'm just as American. He's like, I'm more American than that guy. I came here from Africa as a kid and worked my ass off to be successful and continue to work my ass off. While this dude is chump change over here talking shit all the time, ain't had to work a day in his life. He's like, I am the American dream. I was like, that's the right answer. I was like, don't try to let them bait you into these questions.
You're going to have to work now.
Facts.
We'll see the next time he gets into a ring.
He ain't talking now with that jaw wired shut.
But he can go to jail and make a couple people really happy.
Oh, okay then. Bye.
With that loose jaw.
Oh.
Pop, lock, and drop it. Pop, lock, and drop it.
Stop. Lord. Oh,
shoot.
But we're almost to the end of the decade, almost to the end of the year. So the last few weeks we've been doing our little memories of 2010, music-wise and movie-wise, and just our personal growth over the decade. So I guess we've got one more in us. What are we going to do? Top LGBT pop culture moments, or just even moments maybe of the last decade?
Yeah, like representation moments.
Yeah, okay.
You know, like, I know we talk all the time about how representation matters, and it's not, yes, of course, as, Black men, we want to be able to lift up our own community, but we also recognize that, as people that have been part of an oppressed community, it's our responsibility to lift everybody else up as well. So, I feel like this would be a perfect opportunity to kind of shout out some things. And I just want to shout out cell phones with cameras in them. Because as I think about this decade, and more specifically within the last couple of years, Black people just doing anything. I love the fact that we have video evidence that clearly shows, the way that, some people, these park patties and these sidewalk Sallies and whatever others. Exactly. Calling the cops on these Black people for no apparent reason. And thank God we have, or I should say Steve Jobs, that we have these smartphones to catch these people and oftentimes police officers doing the wrong thing.
And hopefully they are able to prosecute a lot of them, because even when they catch it, they still find a way to squirm out of these situations and legal ramifications. But anyway, I agree, though, because forever they always said, oh, you guys are just complaining. Oh, that doesn't happen as much as you say.
Now we got video evidence.
We got evidence.
Now you can see the words coming out of your mouth.
Exactly. Especially for like the transgender community, like being able to catch a lot of these guys that sleeping with transgender women and then try to beat them up or whatever. Be like, nope, I got receipts of what you saying. We calling your ass all the way out because once again, as these poor communities and disrepresented communities where forever people are saying, oh, that doesn't really happen. Nope. Receipts now, bitch. I got receipts and here's the facts and we're calling you out. Point blank, period. So yeah, another one for me is just like this whole decade, just seeing major like sports athletes and things like that being able to play in their professions and be completely out. And like it started off with like even someone like a Jason Collins early in the decade being the first professional athlete to come out while still playing, to someone like a Michael Sam. And even though it ultimately hurt him, still having that courage to come out and say, here's who I am, here's my authentic self. That way the next generation can literally play these sports that they're good at, and it doesn't even matter who they're sleeping with. Like that's a moot point, you know? And then obviously this decade we saw same-sex marriage. I just got married this year, so I wouldn't have been able to do that 10 years ago, 9 years ago. And so to be able to literally legally get married and have the same issues as straight people it's awesome. You know, it's incredible. So like looking at my left hand now, being able to see this ring on it, wow, just to see the growth and change over a decade. So what you got, Jarrell?
Yeah, for me, it's good. Like for me, I agree. Like the sports and just seeing how many queer athletes have come out in this last decade, it's just been phenomenal. But also just, I like to see just how much like queer culture is becoming so much mainstream too. You know, like we're seeing so much more representation on TV shows. Like Queer Eye came back, RuPaul Drag Race blew up, you know, this decade. Glee was in there too. They had a bunch of, you know, queer storylines as well. And even like Lil Nas X, you know, who just killed it this past year, you know, having the longest #1, you know, record and coming out as well. You know, and like Will and Grace came back too, and
Pose was out.
Pose was out too. Yeah, can't forget Pose.
And even though Dewan hates Ryan Murphy, he had a lot of influence over this last decade over television.
Yes, he has, unfortunately.
Good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, but you know, there's just been a lot in entertainment too, where we're just starting to see more acceptance mainstream. And I think that's another reason why that just makes so much of like the current state of the country so much more irritating, because we've seen in this decade how so much happened, and at the same time we see so many people trying to undo all of those things. So I mean, there was just like a lot of great things and people coming out and just, you know, bringing face to our community and being like, hey, guess what, we're in every fucking thing. Everything. Name
We've
some
been in everything.
We up in, you know.
Right.
So
I mean, even this year was like the 50-year anniversary of Stonewall. So it's just like, just to see the growth over the last half century to end this decade. I mean, we even have even though I'm not the biggest Pete fan, you guys know that from the podcast, just to even have Pete as literally a top running candidate for president is huge. Like, could you imagine in 2010 saying that? At the time, we barely could imagine a black president.
Right.
Now we're saying there could potentially be a gay president and you could get married and all this stuff in 10 years. That's incredible. When you're going through it, it seems a little slower and mundane and taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back and things like that. But then you look back and you're like, wow, we have come. So it's going to be interesting to listen back to this episode in 2029 and be like, wow, we were that far back then. We've come a long way. Like cell phones are just implanted in our ear or something. I don't know what's going to be, but it's just going to be interesting. And I mean, another thing from this last decade with cell phones is the prevalence of dick pics.
You know what?
Let me see them nudes.
You know I had to go there. Let me see what them dudes do. Oh, man. But yeah, I can't wait till this next decade just to see the growth. We said a couple episodes. I think my resolution, at least for next year and the years to come, is just really betting on myself, betting on us, betting on this podcast, betting on just our community as a whole, and trying to be the best representation of our community for the community, but also for myself and my family and my friends and things like that. So I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
I feel like, 3 things that I saw out of the past 2010s are really movements. And I think about the Black Lives Matter movement, the Me Too movement, and this whole movement around toxic masculinity. And really, even though that doesn't have like a name attached to it in terms of, being a organized movement, there certainly is the spirit lives, and you see it every single day. And what I hope for in the next decade is that we see the fruits of this labor, the fruits of our protests, saying that this foul behavior, that wrong, right, or indifferent, was accepted in the past, will no longer be tolerated. And that's not going to be part of our cultural fabric going forward. We won't stand for it. And so, like we preach all the time about the importance of representation, but you don't oftentimes get representation without a little bit of struggle along the way. And we're struggling right now. We all feel it. But I'm optimistic going into this next decade that we'll hopefully start seeing the fruits of all that labor and work to make sure that people are seen, that they are acknowledged, that they are embraced, and they're allowed to live their life however it is that they choose to live their life, so long as it doesn't impede on someone else's ability to live their life the way they want to live it.
Agreed. We gotta look out for each other. We gotta stop killing each other and just let be. Like, come on. So anyway, get off my soapbox. So I mean, we're at the holiday time period, and we're almost done with the episode. But any last minute traditions or things you're looking forward to while we're celebrating Christmas here? Jarrell, Dewan?
Sitting by myself. Well, I won't be with myself. I'll be with Fiznick and my friends Brandon and Casey. But I'm not going home for the holidays since I'll be home at the beginning of the new year. So no traditions for me this year.
But I mean, you can start your own traditions there in Seattle. Or not.
You know what they say? A hole is just a hole.
I'm going to be planted on the couch because I still got to work afterwards. So
right, same here.
Yeah, I don't take no. Before I could take PTO off, like they literally sent the email and be like, "Hey, make sure you get your PTO." An hour later, no more PTO is available. People can't take off PTO for these days because we need to have coverage. So,
oh wow! Yeah.
I was like, that's fine. I'm not going home. I won't take off the time. That's cool.
Are you guys doing anything for New Year's Eve then?
I'm throwing a birthday party for myself.
There you go, girl.
Yeah, so
there you go.
I'll be celebrating with my friends out here in Seattle.
Getting lit, yes, litty.
And then I'm throwing another birthday party for myself. A whole
gang of stories.
And then I'm throwing a birthday party for myself again in Minneapolis when I'm back home in Minneapolis. So I'll get to be, it's a birthday week.
See, I need to do that. I haven't thrown myself a birthday party. I haven't had like a birthday party in so long.
A birthday party?
Well, I guess when I turned 30, I had one. But I mean, damn, that's been a minute already. It seemed like.
Yeah.
But
and to be fair, it's not a real birthday party. It's just like a gathering. You get some drinks. It ain't gonna be nothing crazy. Like, even the one back in Minneapolis, like, I'm like, all right, we're going to go here at 7 o'clock. We'll be here at 9 o'clock. We'll be here at 11 o'clock. Come when you want to. Yeah. Keep it short and simple. I'm too grown to be chasing other grown folks and be trying to get people
I know that's right. Say that again.
That's the power of getting older.
Mm-hmm.
That is the power of getting older. Yeah. You recognize how valuable your time really is.
Facts.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to enjoy this. If y'all want to be a part of this, I would enjoy that as well. But if not, I'm still going to be over here enjoying it.
Facts. All the way.
What did Whoopi say? I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. What about you, Dewan? What are you doing for the holidays? Or what are you currently doing?
My sister and my niece and nephew, they're all coming in to New York. So this will be the first time that they're coming to spend the holidays with me in a long, long time since I've moved to New York. So I'm really excited to see them. By the time this airs, I will be picking them up from LaGuardia, and we'll be driving back to our place, and we're going to be making some French toast and some eggs and bacon and all that kind of fun stuff with my little niece.
You got a car in New York?
No, I'll pick them up in an Uber.
Oh, okay, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, okay, you actually driving into LaGuardia.
I mean, might call up
technology
Jeeves. Driver, pull up to the partition, please.
It's like boom, 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 boom.
Hey.
Um,
So no, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Good.
We're gonna have Christmas here. I'm gonna cook. We're just gonna have a time in the city. I'm taking them all. Me, Adam, my sister, my nephew, and my niece. We're all gonna go to the Radio City Rockettes, their Christmas spectacular
that'd
show
be
on
cute.
Christmas Eve. Yeah. So my niece, she's 6. I'm sorry, no, she's 7. And this will be her first time in New York. And then we're going to go to see the Rockettes the day on Christmas Eve. So that'll really set the thing off. And then we'll go to Rockefeller Center, see the big tree there. And then we'll come back and we'll watch Home Alone together. And,
Oh, yes.
Just have a good old time.
Ooh,
What about you, Carell?
That's one of my favorite movies. I will be in Michigan. Be back in the cold in the Midwest. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, be at my parents. Then every Christmas Eve, usually I go over to my friend Chris's. Like, I've known Chris since I was like 6, and been going over to his place. And for years, it started where it would kind of rotate. Sometimes we'd go to their place, they'd come to our place, or another third family friend of ours, the McCoys. Hey, McCoys. But the last maybe 10, 12 years, every Christmas Eve, we go over to their place. Christmas Day at the folks, and then Corey and I are just trying to figure out our schedules of when we're going to his place, my place. And that's a hard thing now that we're realizing, like, even though we've been together forever, it's just like each year trying to figure out Christmas plans gets a little harder and harder, and especially when you're trying to establish, now that we're married, your own traditions and things like that. It's just like, how do you do that when you already like your traditions?
Right.
You know? And finding that happy medium and things like that. So that's just kind of the struggle now. But he'll be back home. He's from Ohio originally as well. So we'll be both in the Midwest trying to figure out where we're going to be for the few of the days. But I'll also be working remote. So
when you're home, are you going to see the Jasons, like Jason and Jason and the girls and all those from the wedding crew? Hey, guys.
I know, right? Hey, Em. It was her birthday today, actually. Emily and Breen.
Yes.
They both had the same birthday. Say, hey, Breen. Hey, Em. No, because Breen lives on the other side of the state now, so and he rarely comes back home. Because usually his parents or his mom and stepdad usually go out to Grand Rapids. So he hasn't been back to home in a few years now. And then same with Apoka. Some years he comes down, some years they go up there to Traverse City and things like that. So as we've gotten older, Christmas at home has gotten a little more separated. Yeah. We're just getting older and people have families, and it just gets harder and harder to do your old traditions anymore, honestly. It's sad, but it's happy at the same time. So, it's just like you get rid of some traditions and start your own traditions. So,
hey, look, they all came down to Puerto Vallarta. So
exactly. I know. But then like Emily and them, they'll probably either stay in Mishawaka, or I don't know what they're doing because she's from like the Lansing area. So so it's a couple hours, but it would just be hard to see everyone during that time frame. So, but yeah, I want to see Home Alone. I want to see Elf, and Home Alone 2. Those are like the 3 that I have to see Christmas time. So
I am not a Will Ferrell fan. I don't care for Elf. I don't like anything with Will Ferrell.
No.
Anything with a grown man acting a dumbass fool just irritates me.
Just irritates you.
Zero time for it.
But Chris Smiling's my favorite. He's an angry elf. I hope you find your dad. Hey, bye, buddy. I hope you find your dad.
I don't think I've seen more than like 10 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here. Like I've never.
So, do you watch Christmas movies then?
Oh, I love Christmas music. Christmas movies, and music, absolutely. Home Alone's my shit. I be watching all the cheesy movies on Hallmark and Lifetime.
Oh my!
Netflix.
Corey has watched that for the last month, and it's driving me nutty.
What movie?
Those Lifetime Hallmark channel movies.
Nope, not doing it.
I'm
not gonna do it.
I cannot.
Yeah.
You can keep those. Yeah. I'll see my Home Alones and my Elf, and I'm golden. So, but anyway, community, thank you for rocking with us this entire year.
Yes.
We wish you and your family nothing but the best during the holiday time frame and the new year, because we won't be able to live say, we'll probably hop on Instagram, obviously, but at least on the podcast saying Happy New Year as well. And hit us up. Tell us what you guys like about your Christmas shit, what you got, what you didn't get, what you're doing for New Year's. Still communicate with us on social media, but this is the last podcast of the year, new one. But next week and the week after, we will have some surprises for you coming out on Monday as usual. But this is our last chance to say Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and all that stuff.
Happy holidays to you guys.
Yes, thanks for rocking with us all year. And we promise we're going to keep the magic alive while the holidays are going. So look for us on IG stories, look for our posts, engage with us. And if something happens, you never know. We might just hop on and surprise y'all with a little something if we have to react to it.
That is true. Hold on. Let me check my phone. Is he impeached yet?
That's what the article just said.
Is he? Okay, Twitter would tell me.
Yeah, this article from ABC News just came out like 10 minutes ago. That Donald Trump has become the third president in U.S. history to be impeached. And the vote was 230
Yep, Trump impeached. Bye, girl.
Making it official and setting up a Senate trial in January.
Bye, girl. Mm-hmm. That's what you get.
Yeah.
See? What your parents always say? Act ugly if you want to.
Right.
There's repercussions when you act ugly. You reap what you sow. It's episode 45. That's crazy that literally, oh boy, 45 is impeached on episode 45.
On 45.
We put that out there.
In the universe like that. Just come on now. Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Yes. Come on now.
You can thank your aunties.
Okay, look. I'm going to give me a Colt 45 right now, too, just to celebrate.
Ooh, Colt 45 and 2 zigzags. Hey. That's all he gonna need.
Look, that's his drink of choice tonight.
I do want Barbara Walters to come out, and I said this a decade ago. Before people started these memes, I was saying, I want Barbara Walters to come out at the drop of the ball and say, this is 2020.
Yes. Oh my God. That would be amazing.
I want that to happen so much. So anyway, that's it. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, and we out this bitch. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.